Thank you. Okay, I wish to call the November 18th, 2025 regular meeting of the Cook County Grand Marais Joint Economic Development Authority to order at 4 p.m. Commissioners present include Clissold, Anderson, Benson, Mills, Shackleton. Hedstrom is on an excused absence, and Bibi Gudice is joining us remotely. And we're allowed to do that for Alex, A, because he's earned some rest time after a busy season, but also that the open meeting law was amended effective May the 24th, 2025 to allow such a meeting. The meeting will look a little bit different in that we'll need to do roll call votes rather than simply mass voice vote. So be ready for that. And with that, let's get into the material. So the agenda was provided to commissioners in advance of the meeting. Is there a request for any additions or changes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Seconded?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Anderson, do you approve
Yes.
the motion? Thank you. Commissioner Benson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mills?
Aye.
Commissioner Shackleton?
Aye.
And Commissioner Bibi Gudice?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. That motion passes. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comments. If there's any members of the public that wish to speak on items not currently in today's agenda, please state your name for the record. All right, seeing none. Next item is the minutes of the regular October the 21st, 2025 meeting that were provided in the packet on pages 1 through 3. Any changes requested for the meeting minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I motion that.
Thank you.
Support?
Appreciate that. Commissioner Anderson?
Vote.
Oh, aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Benson?
Aye.
Commissioner Shackleton?
Aye.
Commissioner Mills?
Aye.
Commissioner Bibi Gudice?
Aye.
Commissioner Clissold is also an aye. So we've got approved minutes and an agenda. So next item is a review of the financials. The EDA and Superior National financials have been included in the packet. Also included are a copy of the 2025 Business Development Fund grant report. And what I'd like to do is turn it over to Treasurer Shackleton for any updates or commentary.
The EDA year-to-date for financials is in line with budget expectations. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Cash on hand is about $280,000. Available funds or uncommitted funds, we're sitting at about $130,000, and that was, I got that number from doing a cash flow projection that goes out 12 months. And so for anyone who was wanting to know, I think Howard was asking a couple times that what kind of cash reserves does the ED have at any one moment, and according to the projections that I've looked at the end of this month, there's about $129,000 of uncommitted funds. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay.
And then Superior National, year-to-date, pretty much for the golf season, was really on par with what it was last year. Very little difference between this year and last year as far as revenues. Golf a little down, food and beverage a little bit up. They kind of cancel each other out, so it's really close to where we were last year. The cash on hand is a little bit different. We're down about $200,000 where we were last year. We're sitting at $300,000 right now. If we were not going to sell the golf course and we needed to make it through June, it would be tight if we operated as we did last year. But if we have a projected potential sale closing in March, I think we'll do all right.
Okay, any questions for Treasurer Shackleton? Is there a motion to approve the October 25 payments included in the packet?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
second? Okay. Roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Shackleton,
Aye.
BB Gudiche.
Aye.
And I'm also an aye. Motion carries. All right, that takes us to agenda item number 6, new business. And our first resolution is Resolution 2025-42, and this regards the recently completed financial audit. This is in your packet. This is the audit from Redpath for both the EDA and Superior National, and it runs from pages 18 to 80. Sorry about that, but the memo included, I think it's on page 18, summarizes the findings. Anything to add or to highlight, Treasurer Shackleton, that you wish to?
Well, the findings were very similar to what last year. I mean, there's a segregation of duties because we're a small operation, and there's really no solution to that. There were some financial statement corrections that had to be done. This is more just kind of being more accurate. The accounting that we navigate with Serena, and then the golf course and us, and it's not ideal communication. We're all got full-time jobs doing our thing, and so sometimes things are missed or put in the wrong category. So some of that was corrected. The insufficient collateral was with the golf course. The revenue, and the cash on hand is low in the off-season. It grows to a larger amount during the golf season. And ideally, we would have that collateralized somewhere at some bank. Being that the golf course went up for sale this year, didn't make a lot of sense to move the bank account from North Shore Florida Credit Union to the Grand Rapids State Bank. So we held off on that decision. And so because of that, it's still a finding of insufficient collateral. So if it sells in March, it will no longer be an issue. So
Okay,
that was the three issues that came up.
all right, thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Shackleton?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-42, approving the 2024 financial audit for Cook County Grand Marais Joint EDA and SNL?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Oh, before we do,
Sorry.
just that recommendation action, the board should discuss if there's any other, I mean, I feel like there's not a lot of, I mean, we talked about saving receipts,
Right.
but otherwise, we're a small organization, so.
Yeah, I mean, if the golf course does not close, then I would take action to move the bank accounts to Grand Marais State Bank because they have agreed to pledge collateral. So it would be worth the effort, right, to do that. That would be resulting in one of the findings. And the other findings is that, Serena, myself, Heath, and Mike over there, I mean, I think we're doing the best we can with staying on top of things, and the longer we work together, the better it gets. We kind of work it out. So I'm hopeful that if that's the case again, that next year's audit will be better than this year's audit. But as far as structural changes, I'm not sure what else we would do. To be honest with you, other than hire a full-time
Right.
manager for the golf course, which is not in the budget right now. So.
Yeah, yeah. Commissioner
I
Anderson?
had a comment on page 23 of their, the summary of the audit. They noted that the last item there, the conflict of interest disclosure questionnaire, that they only had one file completed. I know that several of us completed it, and so they just got lost. So I just wanted to recommend that we switch to a digital format for that, so that they're just in a database that we did it.
That was 2024.
Right, and I
I see.
agree. We did, but we did sign those documents. I remember signing those documents.
Yeah.
So I just don't know where they went. And
They're very also difficult. I remember Commissioner Mills and I had similar questions on them, so we might reword them a little bit. But anyway, it just seems like a digital thing would be easier for us to track.
Okay, Okay, there's been a motion and it's been seconded. There's been some further discussion. Any other discussion before we move to a vote? Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Shackleton,
Aye.
BB Gudiche.
Aye.
I am also an aye, so motion carries. Okay, next item is 2025-43. This is in your agenda packet, pages 81 and 82, and this might look a little familiar. We discussed this, I believe, at last month's meeting, but we've received a request from Hedstrom Lumber to support a grant request, and this is IRRR related. So the EDA would work as a pass-through agent for the funding. I believe that Treasurer Shackleton met with the IRRR and Hedstrom Lumber to discuss the grant opportunities and have landed on a commissioner's grant. So we want to work with North Shore Development Company, IRRR, and Hedstrom Lumber to submit that full grant application. The grant is in the amount of $16,500, none of which is being matched by the EDA. Anything I missed, Treasurer Shackleton? You wish to?
No.
Okay,
I move in support of the motion.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, Alex?
I'm not opposed to this at all. I just out of curiosity, what is the kind of approximate administrative time processing a grant like this would take? I'm just curious if, the North Shore Development Co. or executive director, just the idea of time and cost just to process the administrative side of this. Do you guys have any sense of that? It's like a couple hours or?
No, I think that Jeff and I met with the IRRR people a couple times and pretty much had it all done. And I handed it over to Teresa to do the form. And so then Teresa's making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and it's properly submitted. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So I don't suspect that Teresa had to put a lot of time in it. It was maybe one phone call to the rep at IRRR and maybe an email or two to Jeff, and that would be about it, so. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was great answer. And I guess the follow-up would just be, once this project is completed, is the IRRR the organization that follows up with, what's the word I'm looking for? As far as reporting from Hedstrom, does
Yeah.
EDA have any role in that once the grant's awarded and the monies are spent?
Yeah, I would expect that to be the case.
Yeah, there's reporting. I think Jeff's aware of what the reporting requirements are, I would believe, right? And then once the project has been completed, he'll submit the report. And if it needs Teresa's help or assistance, she can facilitate that, so.
Yeah.
And I would
Okay.
imagine that with a
Yeah.
$16,500 grant, this would be a one-time transaction and not, a 6 or 12-month rolling process that some of our larger grants see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Do they have meetings like other grants? Like Taconite Harbor, we
This
have
one did
regular
not.
check-in meetings.
This one was just, they were looking for funds.
So for the conversations I've had with the triple IRB, or IRRB, so there'll be, I need to report to them milestones that we hit. The lumber was shipped to SmartLand for testing, the panels were completed, the testing, and then the result of those that testing that's done. Worked with Teresa, got her the formal quotes, written quotes, and then kind of a timeline for everything that will happen. And so kind of my expectation is that, essentially probably by the end of February, we'll have this sort of all wrapped up and put to bed. Everything's taken care of, the testing's been done, results have been reported, and we'll have that over to the IRRB. If you folks are interested in the results, certainly would be willing to share that with everyone here to, can either provide something to Mark to report, or I can come back and let everyone know the results of what happened. But I think just the few kind of email conversations I've had with Teresa, it sounds like it's minimal time on her part. That she just needed formal quotes from me and a timeline for how it was gonna happen and needed to submit that.
Great, thank you.
Good luck.
So, I'm sorry, there was a motion and seconded. Did we get through the voting or no?
No.
No, okay.
Aye.
Roll call. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Benson?
Aye.
Mills?
Aye.
Shackleton?
Aye.
BB Gudiche?
Aye.
Clissold is also an aye. So 2025-43 passes. All in favor, none opposed. Okay. Next up is 2025-44, and this regards North Shore Development Company, the current contract of which expires at the end of this calendar year. And this is included in your agenda, pages 83 through 89. And as you would recall, the EDA hired NSDC in July upon the resignation of our former executive director. I stand corrected, this contract was set to terminate January the 7th, 2026. But after discussion with the full board and the HR committee, there certainly is a desire to maintain administrative support with NSDC through this hiring period, but even after the hire of a new director, to support both the hiring and the onboarding process. So the new contract rather reflects that change. There's no change in the compensation rate, and the contract is set to renew annually. So let's open that up for discussion if you've had a chance to look at that. Any questions or comments?
I guess I would just say I feel really lucky,
Yeah.
you know, that we have them and their experience, their expertise, and
sure.
very fair and, yeah, it's like a dream.
Yeah, yeah, nothing short of that. Super responsive, know the process, know us. It's been great. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-44?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-44.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Appreciate that. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Mills,
Aye.
Shackleton,
Aye.
BB Gudiche,
Aye.
and Clissold is also an aye, so all in favor, none opposed. Okay, those are our resolutions. This next item is a discussion point that was actually started last month, and I'm happy that we're having it. You'll find the material in support of this discussion on pages 90 through 94. And it's regarding residency requirements, both for upcoming county-appointed EDA seats and in the future, city-appointed as well, I think should be part of this conversation. The NSDC has provided some information on state statute for the EDA, but I think importantly, although there's a requirement for, as I understand it, county residency, we've got 3 of our seats proposed by the city and 4 by the county. I think the intent of that was to have geographic diversity, but that isn't a requirement anywhere. And so I wanted to open up the conversation on how important that is to all of us, and if it is, to then engage with the county commissioners to get something more formal to support that direction.
Now I knew it, I forgot. When I did my onboarding, which they handed me a bunch of paper, and maybe you've read this, and I won't say I can't remember if they're bylaws or whatever, and I want to say they're early 90s, but they speak more detailed about an intent
Good.
for that.
Yep.
And of course, they're sitting at home on my desk. This is not the only written material we have on the subject. And, you know, we asked for special permission to do something, to have a city and county, as opposed to, you know, that isn't how it was, right? It was a legislative action. And I do believe that they definitely wanted to have broad representation. And in theory, you could slot this all with city people. You couldn't do the reverse of that, but you could do that. And I don't think that is the intent. And, you know, it's not up, a lot of things miss when you go back to this piece that's included in our packet. You know, did somebody sit and think through all the angles? Probably not. They probably assumed they knew what they meant. And then here we sit today because somebody decided to think for a moment. So that's how I view it, that we do want to make sure that people, you know, and there's a sensitivity, I think, for the people in the county, rightly so. And I do think that is really the intent everyone wants.
On both sides,
So
I
do you-
suppose.
Do you think something needs to be done as suggested, or there's this older document that's still in place?
I think it supports it, but I do think you're absolutely, and it's up to the commissioners, right?
Yep.
To make that action, but I would certainly support it. Otherwise I think we're heading in the wrong direction.
And just to put a fine point under it, so that the 3 city appointments would be exclusively for city residents, and the 4 county appointments would be exclusively for county residents outside of the city. Good. Yep.
So I'll just note that I was appointed when I lived in Hoveland, and now I live in the city. I was there for a year and a half, and now I'm not there, so might be complicated, or,
Well, Dave Mills can answer that one. Remember when we sat in the council together?
Yeah, and I moved out.
He moved out.
Yeah, you know, thank you for disclosing that. And of course, we have our intentions, but I think like you're saying, we don't have to based on how things are written. It was just the intention, so.
Or we could say at the time of appointment.
right at the
Yes.
time of appointment. And I think I asked this previously, maybe just to Mayor Benson, but I wondered if there had ever been a requirement to have a Grand Portage resident as one of the members.
I don't know that you asked me that,
I see.
and I've never heard that. I mean, I'm
Okay.
not saying my history isn't good enough to know that.
Well, if the band requested that, I'd be open, but I haven't heard any request and have had a hard time
Recruiting.
getting participation in other committees, so it's yeah, I think that's a great aim.
We could make the offer. Like there is an opening. Are there any volunteers?
I think historically, everyone's got that same picture. We have certainly asked them to be at the table in a variety of different things, and I think that's what led to potentially one of our past hires here. But, yeah, I mean, you're right, can't hurt to ask. I know the North Shore Management Board, we just sort of a little messy, but we've got them on now, the representation, which they always should have been. I think there wasn't a desire, but just recognizing their sovereignty, or whatever, you know, it took a little bit to do that. This is, I think, different,
Yeah.
but I don't know how different. So that's been great. There's some good expertise up there that's really welcome for the North Shore Management Board, so.
Your thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's, on one hand, you know, we're struggling to recruit people to apply for open commissioner seats. I mean, this last round, I think there was one application, mine for the city appointment, and Commissioner Anderson's application for the county appointment. We're not really stacking up the applications for this, so, you know, if we were to impose stricter residency requirements, we might chip away at potential applicants, but my kind of gut is, you know, the geographic representation is important. And just going back to Commissioner Benson's statement that there was an intention to have a city-county joint authority. it wasn't just the county. So I think there's definitely some more clarity that we need to iron out here. If for nothing else, this upcoming vacancy that we're going to be filling shortly. And I think my vote is to respect the geographic diversity that I think was the intent of the original legislation that created this group.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Certainly that's where my head's at. Mayor Benson, if you can forward that document, that can be something that else we can reference. But
Yeah.
Teresa's suggestion is that we kind of boil down our point of view into a memo for the county commissioners. And Dave, if they can have a discussion on that, and we can get on the same page, we can start to put that into effect.
I'd just make a comment too, when you think how long somebody serves on this board, and that's statute, right, we can't change that. Can be over 12 years. I think if we do go down this route, kind of finalize, making that distinction, then I think we do need to then I think we do need to respect what we decide we're gonna say, and not say, oh, we can't fill the seats, so we'll let whatever. Because 12 years plus is a long time for that. Not that everyone does that, but the potential is there.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will say, like city council, and we have that same issue to some extent in the city with things. But I also think government has done a really bad job of selling and marketing, and I finally got it. Anton did a little interview for me for the council seat, and all of a sudden I had 4 or 5 people sitting in the meeting that night, interested to fill that space. So I think until we do a little bit better job of talking about what it means to sit on a board or the opportunity, just to assume it won't go well, I think we should at least give that a try before we bend what we say we think is the right thing to do.
No, completely agree. We do have some challenges in the recruiting department, but I don't view this discussion and those challenges as mutually exclusive. I have to do one or the other. We can, I think, pull off both successfully, and that's what we should really strive for. Okay.
I ask another question.
Please.
This one's for Commissioner Benson. As far as the city council goes, I remember our conversation, maybe there was a 30-day residency requirement for a city appointee. Is that accurate?
I'm thinking of voting for a minute or two. I won't say that without looking, because my head goes more to election stuff than.
Yeah, I think I saw that, Alex,
I
on
think
the
you
city
may be
site,
right.
but in any case, assuming that's the case,
Are you asking if that would be the deal here when you do that?
yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought that maybe the city had some criteria that a city appointee would have to meet regarding residency for the EDA.
Yeah,
And maybe it was that
Oh.
30-day
that sounds
residency.
familiar, yeah.
For the EDA, okay.
Yeah, and it was a criteria that I didn't see repeated on the county site, or the county
Right.
application, oddly enough, so there's room for improvement there, for sure. Okay, well, if it's okay with everyone, I can draft a memo that perhaps I can run through Commissioner Mills, addressed to the county commissioners, or Kristen. Kristen? Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to have it,
Thank
you
you.
look at it, but, yeah, Kristen would be the
I'll do that. Very good.
point of contact.
Also, I see there's a few different mechanisms by which there's public meetings in Grand Portage. And I'd be willing to attend one and do a promo for
Yeah, great.
this body, if that seems useful.
Sorry, I'm just making a note to myself here.
Yeah, I guess I would just want to be sensitive to Grand Portage's wishes. In the past, when I've talked with the chairman, it's a bit of a delicate dance with outside agencies and what the band would like, with tourism in particular. And we didn't get into more pointed economic development issues, but, because tourism's the big one, right, around here. And so I guess maybe, like, I don't know what public meetings you're talking to, but it might be worth a one-on-one before.
Go through band leadership.
Yeah.
Sure,
For-
I
yeah,
understand.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I'll reach out to April.
Perfect, good. Thank you, good discussion. All right, that takes us then to item number 7. That's committee and commissioner reports. And first up is Commissioner Anderson regarding St. Catherine University.
Yeah, we have had unfortunate return on our surveys, perhaps for the reason Alex noted, Commissioner Bibi Guducci noted last time, my email maybe wasn't recognized by recipients, so we had Teresa send out the same email recently, but we're still only have 10 responses, so not able to do real analysis yet, but still hoping we can get some more. I thought in lieu of that, I might say something about the elected leaders cohort that I mentioned last time. So this past meeting was with the Vice President of Northland Foundation and Ida Rukavina from the IRRB about their practices and funding streams that occur. I was able to attend virtually, so it's free to attend. And the previous one, we heard from Heather Worthington from Urban 3 and as well as a few other groups, but this one was particularly interested to me, and they taught us about the concept of value per acre as a productivity measure that can be used in a city to understand how to improve tax revenues. And I wasn't sure if we had done any kind of analysis in that way of Grand Marais. Grand Marais did come up several times in both meetings as being a favorable example of economic development with different things that we were nice to work with. But I thought this was an interesting concept around increasing revenue essentially by going taller, and just the profound impact that can happen from having, for instance, housing on top of buildings in the city proper. And I don't know if we've ever looked at that or talked about that, or even if it's an issue for Grand Marais. But
We did talk about it.
okay.
We talked about it when we were setting up this building.
Oh, cool.
It was not cost effective.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And we also wanted to respect our interest in not having height.
Right.
Because there's not a lot, it's here, but there's not a lot of real interest in it.
Right.
So when we put those two things together, it was not cost effective. And we had to make the decision, I wouldn't say fairly early, but we did, because this building would have been built differently if it knew something had to be on the top of it. So we had to, one way or another, and we weren't going to get enough out of it for the cost.
I know that when they were looking at building, remodeling Birch Bark, the opportunity to go up as well was presented, and it was not cost effective then either, so.
Yeah.
So,
It's disappointing,
Yeah.
a little surprising in my mind, counterintuitive, but
Right.
yeah, it's been discussed, and the cost effectiveness is over what time scale, right? But
Yeah.
for the short term, it's not. I just think you look 50 years down the road, maybe.
well, I'm looking at that.
Right.
Stone Harbor, and they got something on top. It must have worked for them,
In East Bay.
right, so.
different strokes, I
Right.
guess, but
With different ends.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Both,
some of
maybe.
that is no short stay, so don't forget that. And they're renting at extreme amounts of money.
Yeah,
That's not what we would have had. And basically, the only way this would have even half panned out is if most of them were studios. We didn't really feel that that was what was going to really work. So no, I mean, there's a lot of things that sound good somewhere else but don't apply here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you have to be really careful about that. I hear a lot of people talking about concepts that I get in a different landscape, like flat farmland in southern Minnesota, that just don't apply here, and you can't just match it up. Yeah, we did
Wouldn't that be-
definitely ask for LHB to spend time putting that together for us.
Yeah, I love the idea of having first floor business, second floor apartments, or whatever, you know, isn't that just the quintessential
Yeah.
thing?
Well,
But,
yeah, we talked about this being an anchor, like have the liquor store be the anchor, and then letting a bunch of other businesses be here and go put our city hall somewhere else too. We never quite got full consensus on that, but yeah, I kind of bit into. In fact, I was the one who said that'd be a great way to get some other businesses downtown.
Uh-huh.
That is not the approach, and where it's a group, and that isn't where we landed. Let's face it, there's nothing cheap about housing here. That probably.
Well, and even nothing cheap, period. Like, we were presented on some of the materials as having a lower cost of living than than the state, and I was like, not true. Definitely not true.
Not even
And they were like,
close.
wait, are you Grand Marais? And they're like, yeah, that's right. Because it was like Cook
The
County.
region, oh.
Yeah, Grand Marais is really expensive. Interesting. Okay, thanks.
Okay, great.
So I hope to have better information to share on the St. Kate's project in December.
Commissioner Bibi Gudici, I see you raising your hand.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions about the St. Kate's research project. I'm just curious how many grantees were contacted initially. You said you had 10 respondents, but how many did the class reach out to in total, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I could, let's see. I can kind of ballpark it here. It is, I thought, kind of a surprisingly large number. There are about 65.
oh, well, that's not a terrible response rate for
Yeah.
a lot of surveys, but
Only a couple
ideally
months,
we'd want
right?
more.
Right.
And then my other question then is, good idea to have the director email again, but what else can be done to maybe drive up that response rate? Is there more that we could do? Are there any other ways that we could help kind of generate more responses?
Well, thanks for asking. I could call them. That's one idea. I tried to get a story written about in Boreal. They declined due to a full tablet. Also, we were going to do one at WTIP pre it, and then there were issues that came up at WTIP that didn't allow that to follow through. But I think either stories that pushed it or outreach to personnel. I did personally reach out to some people that outright said flatly they would not do the survey, which was surprising to me.
Wait, how long have you been in Cook County?
Only 3 years.
Yeah.
Only 3 years. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. But I'm open to ideas if people have other ideas of how to compel people to do the survey. It's a 5 to 10 minutes. I'm guessing, Commissioner Bibi Guducci, you're one of the 10 people that completed the survey.
Wouldn't until I ever did. No, I did. I did. I sure did, and I had no problems getting the correspondence, but we email frequently, so there wasn't any issue on that end. But I was just curious. My other question then is, you said maybe this class is a semester class, right? So it probably
Right.
and it's not.
It is a semester course, so it will
The
end.
clock's kind of ticking. They probably wrap up end of mid-December or something like that.
Correct.
All right, well, thanks, yeah, keep us posted, and, if I
Will
think of anything, I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Could you repeat or elaborate on the value per acre? Is that, how is it valued, or what's the?
Sure, I can share the slide decks that we got from each of the different things. I'll send those around. So that's the concept that you look at cars and you rate cars. You look at them as what's the miles per gallon that they get.
Yeah.
So that you can do the same thing with a location. You can say, what's the value per acre that we get? And when you look at spaces in that way, you will find that something that you assume is valuable, like a giant shopping mall, is actually not valuable. Whereas small business with housing on top, they're
Gotcha.
paying taxes,
Okay.
right? It's like a small space, but everyone's paying a lot. So
Hence the up.
thinking differently about, or like how golf courses aren't gifts, really, they're expenses. And they talked about how roads aren't gifts, they're long-term expenses. So we have a lot of roads, right? Yeah.
And so it's regional per acre, or was it looking at, stores versus mall?
Just in your city or,
Okay.
whatever county space. I mean, we're mostly, it's all elected leaders from northeast Minnesota, so mostly small towns. And looking at, if you're not meeting your bottom line, can you look closely at your downtown area and think about, could you be generating more revenue by adding some things?
Something like there's a heat map with
Yes.
different blocks and different economic.
Right, they do
Okay.
make them, they're like
Yeah.
stacked
Yeah.
tiers,
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Anderson, thank you for the update. Next item is Taconite Harbor Subcommittee, Strategic Plan Update. Who wishes to start?
You.
I'll be
Yeah.
happy to. Yeah, I attended the meeting on the 29th of October, went down to Schroeder with me and 14 of my new advisory committee friends. It was our kickoff meeting, so it was, a little soft in terms of introductions and sharing of our connections and our history here. For me, that was a little thin. For others, there was a lady there who was a child living in housing in Taconite Harbor. At least one individual who spent his career there. So I think the committee did a good job of selecting a good diverse group of folks. We got to meet certainly the Stantec team, and I thought that they were well prepared and presented themselves well. Also engaging, I thought, was two folks from Minnesota Power, who I think made a good effort to engage with the group. But we went over just an orientation of what the process is going to look like. Got a little bit of the history, especially for us who don't have much here, on what Taconite Harbor was back in the day. And our next meeting, in fact, is tomorrow at 6. And that meeting will get into more of the physical properties of the site. We'll get into the environment on December the 3rd, talk economics on the 17th. These are all more learning sessions. And then we kind of change directions and we get into the visioning exercise, which is where the rubber really meets the road. That'll start in early January, where the January, February, and March meetings will be dedicated to putting together what that vision is. So that's Taconite Harbor from my perspective.
Thanks for serving.
Thanks for selecting me. Questions or other comments on Taconite? Okay.
Oh, I just want to point out for everyone's benefit that it is on our website, the materials, and so
Yeah.
we can review that as they're posted. So
Yep.
I try to share that with as many people because there's
Thank
a lot
you.
of people asking.
Yes, including some Cook County commissioners, so.
Oddly, they didn't ask me. No, they did, and I sent them to Peter.
Yeah, that didn't go unnoticed. Okay, next item is golf course. And, Howard's traveling, so that will be me. The due diligence period has just recently been extended another 30 days. It was going to expire tomorrow. It'll now next expire on the 19th of December. There's a few items on what I'll call the punch list that the golf course needs to follow up on, contracts, et cetera, that they might be involved with for certain suppliers that the buyer wants visibility to. That list has gone from, and I'm just estimating, 50 items down to 5, so there's been good progress there. The two big items, and they are big items, is irrigation, and the newest one is the septic system, both of which need significant work. And the current plan, of course, would be to fund that work through the sale proceeds, but we'll have a much more difficult conversation if the sale does not, conclude in relatively short order, because that's two things critical to golf course is septic and irrigation. Please.
And so the extension is because of the punch list items, is that?
It was really prompted by this recent discovery of the septic issues.
Okay.
Yeah, because it'll need to get scoped out.
Okay.
It'll be the EDA or the golf course's responsibility to sell a functioning golf course. That means irrigation and that means septic. But we don't know what that means yet. The irrigation project is a little bit further down the road than septic, which, as I say, was just recently discovered as an issue. Bar Engineering just today, Fred Dutterer and Bar landed on a reasonable contract for that work, the work that we approved at our last meeting. That's the $7,900 for the conceptual plan and the associated work. So we'll have better visibility as to the irrigation solution and, importantly, what it'll cost in 2 to 3 weeks when Bar is done. We are just now beginning to engage with someone who can look at septic. And maybe the septic system's a little easier to figure out and it won't take as long, but it's just begun. But we've got a buyer who was quite eager to extend the due diligence, still fully engaged, and that's good news. At our next meeting, we'll have a number of items on the agenda related to the golf course. I expect Mike Larson will be here. We'll go over the plan for the winter, as well as the 2026 budget and associated discussion. So, in fact, I think the Board of Governors, if that's the right term, they're meeting on the 24th in advance of our next meeting.
So December,
16th
oh, okay.
is our
I was
next
thinking
EDA meeting.
We were gonna
Yeah.
hit close to the night, I see, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
all right.
Okay. So there's a number of moving pieces. I'm learning more about the sale of large assets and businesses than ever before. Howard's been a huge help, of course. Mike Larson's fully engaged, and Fred Dutterer has been invaluable for this process. So that's where we stand. Questions on the golf course?
No, I'm just gonna go right over here for just a second.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Thank you. Yes.
And what was I thinking when I signed up for the golf course committee? I'll tell you that. Okay. Next up is the grant review committee, and I did see the updates on the website, so I'm really excited about this. But anything to share outside of that from grant review, Alex?
Yeah, the really no new. Sorry, I was going to say there hasn't been much to do lately. We have been grateful for North Shore Development Company providing some direction on a rubric that will the committee will meet in December to provide some kind of criteria and some direction on that, so they can produce a rubric and we can fine tune it and put it to work for the first round of applications that will be coming in February. So that's something that we've talked about before, but it will kind of give us a tool to help review applications, determine awards, and apply the same criteria to all applicants in the review process.
Good.
So it's a tool, but there's still room for human judgment and decisions. But it's a framework, and we've kind of struggled throughout this year to make something on our own. We've all tried, and we haven't really found something that has worked. So this is it's nice to have their support on this. But that's all I got right now.
Terrific, thank you. Commissioner Mills?
Just wanted to share this with the board that there's kind of a critical eye or note from the county board regarding the business grant, the small business grants. Just the size of it, the 200,000. Did my darndest to kind of defend it and explain the value and a little bit of the history. But I just wanted to let everyone know that that's being looked at or discussed. Like I said, I support it. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right, if it comes to that, but just the impacts, that we have seen, and just seeing that list in our agenda packet too, I think it just is really telling. Building our tax base, building our economy, this is all necessary for us to have a sustainable system, so I'm hoping we don't, I'm hoping it won't be eroded.
There's a taxation meeting coming up in December, a public meeting. Is that something that do you think would benefit from any of us attending on that subject? Was it the truth in taxation?
Truth in taxation.
Yeah.
Normally, it's a presentation from Auditor Powers about the county tax system at large, and then a breakdown of the county budget and levy. Usually doesn't get into super specifics. Typically, I wouldn't say there's like an EDA focus, but it's more of a presentation, and then honestly just a listening session for the public to be able to speak to the commissioners about the impacts of taxes.
Right, and it's on that last point, is there any benefit so that we can shine a light on
Yeah.
on the fund?
That would be, it's always great to have people show up and show support for things if you're so inclined, yeah.
December the 10th, did I read? Or I'll get with you later.
Well, December 2nd at 6 p.m. at the courthouse in the commissioner's room.
Okay. I can bring my pitchfork and,
There's no weapons allowed.
okay.
If I may just
Please.
chime in, on that note, Commissioner Mills, I think the most effective, I don't know, not salesperson, but representative of this program are the recipients. So this might be an opportunity for us to maybe connect with certain recipients from years past that could perhaps speak to the effectiveness of this program. And I'm thinking more in terms of businesses, not from this year or last even, but, maybe last, but some that have now been around, a couple years post-award and are thriving and can connect their success to the fund on whatever scale. It might not be something for all recipients, but if there are a couple out there that, could maybe participate, that'd be great. And, I'm happy to do that on my own as a recipient, separate of, my commissioner position. I've been thinking about that a bit too, so just a thought.
It's a good one.
Thank you, and I was just kind of thinking through everything a bit more too, and I'm really not certain if this is the most appropriate meeting to show support. Truly, it's generally just a big, you bring a bowl of popcorn and watch the show sort of thing. But there absolutely, I think, could be a place before the final levy is set, if indeed the conversations around cutting the program go any further. So I guess I'll just have to try to keep y'all informed. That's not to say you can't come, Ben. I'm just trying to think strategically, so.
So if it weren't, if this December 2nd T&T meeting were not necessarily the appropriate one, would a regular council meeting be more appropriate? Or what would the platform be?
I mean, just even a letter would be, a letter to each, of our respective commissioners, can be really powerful, an email, or a phone call. Or, if I was gonna guess, we'll be setting the, oh boy. Okay, yeah, I think we'll be setting the final levy on the 16th. That meeting starts at 10:30. So that might be the most powerful, but there's gonna be a lot of energy in the room that day too, so.
It'll still be line iteming things? Or it won't be just,
Unfortunately, I betcha.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again, great job by the review committee on recrafting the program and putting some energy behind it, so thank you very much. Taking us then to the HR committee.
We met, with, uh-oh,
Those guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
too many of these, are all sound the same, let me go. NSDC, and
Nailed it.
thank you by reading. So thanks to Teresa's attention to detail, we have a game plan and process to more at a detailed level for the, putting out the announcement and just following through the whole process and fine-tuned all of our dates and the whole piece. So we should be ready to go on December 15th. However, there was one thing, now that I think about it, I have to go read my notes, that we do need to look at within the job description. I thought we had one to do to look at. I have to go back and look at my notes. Maybe not. I was thinking there was one thing she asked us to.
Oh, boy.
I'll go look at my notes. I wrote it down.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think we're ready to
Good.
go. Did you?
Yeah, I guess just some of the conversation, ties into item F. Talking about, depending on the applicants that we get, you know, we've talked about getting an economic development professional, just boom, they've got the training, they've got the experience, awesome, we got them. Or maybe we're not gonna get that applicant, maybe we gotta grow our own sort of thing. And trying to, cast our net, see what comes in, and then how we might want to change or adapt, and whether or not, because North Shore Development Company has offered services on the administrative side of things for however long we need, kinda, as long as it's working for both parties, and so that can really enable us to use the director role in whatever form or shape that we think our community needs. So, in the past, we have talked about a real need for administrative support, even to the point of hiring a part-timer to do that, and so to have a contracted services is pretty powerful there. And so one of the discussion points was that local business community side of things. Was that the thing you were gonna look more into, or no? Something else? I'm sure, no.
Yeah, that's what well, that's F, right? But on the line items. It was a great idea, which Alex had brought up, is more flexibility in looking at who it is we would find appropriate for this position within that, and we talked about it, especially if we continue to use their services for a certain component of what the director does, how does that influence the salary range, which
Right.
we had said in discussions it may lower it, but it also may mean it's not exactly full-time either. I mean, if you want someone out present in this community, that's important, I think, and I think we need to do a better job of it. But I don't know in this community that's enough to keep someone all the time, you know, full time. Short of chamber events, I mean, they're just whatever. So it lended, I think, just to a lot of more flexibility so that we could look at different people and see what skills they had or what interests they had, and just made the whole thing more flexible. I think the one thing we felt pretty strongly about is making sure we had someone with a physical presence here. And that gets back to just being more out front and representing the EDA.
Sure.
And the one thing also, which I guess if it's okay to kind of
Yeah,
bring
for sure.
F into
Yep.
this, we haven't talked a whole lot about this, but just a little bit, is what could the EDA be doing more as an organization, more presence? Like now that our chamber is acting more locally, which it certainly was not when it was first formed, but that's been really growing in the last couple of years. Can we be working more with them? Certainly having a more presence with them. I don't remember if I mentioned this last time or not, but they're offering some free social media class work now to their members, and maybe more things that way. Maybe we could, the higher ed always will sponsor just about any kind of learning opportunity, and maybe we could be working more closely to be the ones setting some of that up or asking them for topics that way. There's other organizations besides the that's now I'm going to get the other one that I never get right from Duluth that provides our
ARDC?
consultant.
Northland,
Northland, and then underneath that the
SBDC.
SBDC, thank you. There's other nonprofits that also provide services for businesses, and we really haven't done as much. We have done work with them, but not as much. The way we operate right now under that contract, we don't really get a lot of work with them. It's still kind of separated. We just say, oh, great, you're doing the work, but we don't collaborate as an organization, work with them. And there's other groups that provide these kinds of services too. This may be, for me, an opportunity to see a difference in how we bring in that kind of help to businesses as well, and rethink that whole piece a bit. And that was part of what we talked about too. And maybe even this person could do some of that work as well if we want them more front and center. But there's so many unknowns. Like if you're someone new and you don't understand how business works in this community, there's a huge learning curve for you. Not that you can't do it, but you might come with ideas or suggestions that you'll stumble through unless you know how things operate here more. But that could be a good learning opportunity too. And one way to do that is to start working with the businesses that are around here.
Sure.
So I just see this whole hire as a lot more flexible, and I see more opportunities for the EDA to do more with other groups in our community and other groups that provides support.
Yeah, a community this small, we shouldn't be siloed by any stretch, so completely agree.
And I feel like a big part of this conversation is just is possible because of the sale of the golf course and the business part. You know, like we're gonna have a little more breadth to work with there versus, I don't know, last go around, we needed someone to get it.
What would the job posting look like then if
Right.
if we're so flexible? A part-time person might work, full-time person. I mean, how do you attract all these candidates or potential candidates, you know, with such a large description, I mean, it's,
We should, did we not, didn't, we'll send that out. I
Yeah.
was thinking we had brought it up at one of our meetings, but maybe we didn't. So let's make sure we get that out to
Good call,
everybody.
yeah. And shoot for the moon, you know.
So-
Good, okay, thank you. Anything else for anyone to add at this stage?
One small
Please.
item, I was reading quickly from back on our discussion about filling the seats here. And then from that, you mentioned possibly working with Grand Portage or getting them their presence here more officially. And just another thing maybe that needs some clarity over time. And I see it, I think, best described on Section 3, areas of operation, and shall include all of Cook County. Well, in 1988, I would say that all of Cook County probably did include Grand Portage. That would have been my thinking. Now, I'm not sure. There may be some particulars that, not that you can't do it or, won't pause it. We had to do a few things with the North Shore Management Board, and it all worked, but there may be some details there we have to think through.
Okay.
And it might be just a joint agreement, which is what we have with them. So just something to think about.
Okay, good meeting, good discussion. With that, is there a motion to adjourn the November the 18th, 2025 meeting at 5:06 PM?
motion.
Commissioner Shackleton,
Second.
great. All right, thanks all. See you next on Tuesday, December the 16th.
Alex, before you go, where's Cabbage Key? Is that down south? Were you just there, or was that?
Well, this is an old habit. It's in Florida. It's in the Gulf side of maybe just a little south. But we're